Peugeot call the 408 an SUV. To me it looks more like a Fastback, so I guess that makes it a crossover. Either way, it looks pretty damn good. Welcome to this week's episode of Four Wheels in a Seat. My name's Alex Dalrymple. This is my channel where I review new cars every week, especially for people who need to buy a new car and don't know which way to turn. I can help you out with a simple, straightforward review. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below, the notification bell, and if you enjoy the video, please give me a like. There's no shortage of French style with the Peugeot 408. It is really distinctive and good looking, made all the more so because you just don't see that many of these on the road. Plus, the 408 is also a plug-in hybrid, which makes it even more on trend. I like the aggressive look of the front of this car with its fang-like driving lights that do double duty as indicators. The LED light clusters look good, and I really like the treatment here on the front grille, plus the relatively new big Peugeot badge here in the middle. From the side, you can see that this car is just a really gorgeous shape. I love Fastbacks. 20-inch alloys here. They're a really unique design. I actually really like the look of these. They're very aerodynamic and sort of retro futuristic. You can see here that maybe the SUV title is somewhat justified because the 408 does ride up relatively high. We've got another big Peugeot badge here on the side, and I just love this steep angle down to the back of the car here. I just realised I'm dressed a bit like a human French flag today in red, white and blue, completely unintentionally. I think the back of the 408 though is definitely my favourite angle. I really like these rear tail light clusters. We've got another big Peugeot badge here. Under the powered tailgate is a 485 litre cargo space, which expands to 1,545 with the rear seats down. Under the bonnet sits a 1.6 litre four-cylinder turbo petrol engine mated to an electric motor, and together they output 165 kilowatts of power and 360 newton meters of torque. Power goes to the front wheels only via an 8-speed automatic transmission. Charging the battery is a little on the slow side. It will take about 3.5 hours at an EV charger, and you get about 60 kilometers of electric-only range. The interior of the 408 is virtually identical to that of the 308, which I really like. It's lots of clean, sleek lines, a futuristic design that kind of is a bit reminiscent of something you might have seen in Japanese anime in the 1980s. The center screen is 10 inches, and I really like this system. It's one I've encountered before in the 308, and it's just beautiful. It works really, really well. Has nice animated transitions between apps, which is a nice touch. There are tutorials showing you how to use the system, plus there's voice activation, wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, plus digital radio and native navigation. Underneath that is another touch screen with what Peugeot call the iToggles, and these are basically shortcuts to the navigation, CarPlay and climate controls. Most of the climate controls run through this screen, meaning you do need to take your eyes off the road to make some basic adjustments, but there are a few functions underneath here which are run by switches on this row underneath the screen, plus volume control for the sound system. The sound system, by the way, has 6 speakers and according to my daughter is just okay. Lower console, we've got wireless phone charging, USB-C port, cup holders underneath a slidey garage door type lid. We've got the gear shifter here, which is a really unique kind of rocker switch with B mode, allowing you to draw extra energy from the battery as the engine is braking. Drive mode selector, park brake, little storage cubby just there. Dual lid opening bin here with a pretty small bin inside and another USB-C port. In front of the driver is probably one of the most controversial things about this cabin, and it's called the iCockpit. Now that's the name for Peugeot's digital instrument cluster that actually sits above the steering wheel. So the wheel itself actually sits quite low and it's relatively small, and you're supposed to look over the top of it. Now for me that's fine because in my seating position I can do that quite easily, but I have heard of other people who struggle with this. But I do really like this screen. I mean, there are a few different display modes. It's really clear and it has nice graphics. Plus, it is also 3D, which is a really unique thing. I haven't seen anyone else do this other than Peugeot. There's no real reason to do it beyond the fact that it just looks kind of cool. You can't really quite see it clearly in this video, but in person, it is quite an impressive effect. How they do it, by the way, is just there is another screen up on top here, and it reflects off the clear plastic in front of the main screen. The steering wheel, as I mentioned, is quite small and feels really good in the hand. It has a very sporty feel to it with a flat top and a flat bottom, and it's just such a nice feeling to kind of throw this around into corners. There's some pretty basic controls on here for the sound system and the adaptive cruise control. We've got paddle shifters on the back, big GT badge at the bottom there too, which looks pretty nice. The seats are leather, fully electrically adjustable. There is a massage function for the driver and front passenger, and the seats are heated but not ventilated. The steering wheel is heated as well. Seating position in the cabin is pretty good, actually. I've got plenty of headroom, and looking out the front there, can see pretty much all the way to the front of the bonnet. Visibility all round is pretty good. We do have blind spot monitors in the wing mirrors, of course, to help you out with cars that might disappear behind these pillars. But overall, this is actually a very comfortable cabin to be in, and I have done a road trip in the 308, which is pretty much identical to this, and it was really a very comfortable experience. And the back seat of the 408, and one thing I have noticed is that it's actually quite dark in here, and that's because there's no sunroof. And as far as I'm aware, in Australia anyway, that isn't even an option, unfortunately. So with this dark headliner, it is just a little bit gloomy. Also, the dark Alcantara here on the doors, which are also at the front and even extend onto the dashboard, looks and feels really nice as well. But as far as the back seat goes, I've just got the headrest digging into my back there, so I'll fix that up. But it is very comfortable. Again, more of this nice leather here. Plenty of knee room behind my own seating position. I'm 190 centimeters tall, not really touching the seat in front at all, which is good. Headroom a little bit limited because of this car's sort of fastback shape. But all up, yeah, this is nice and comfortable, although I would love an armrest. We don't get one of those. 2 USB-C ports will keep the kids happy here in the center console. A couple of air vents there too, and a little bit of flimsy feeling netting here to put magazines in, I suppose, or a map or pamphlets or books or whatever you need to keep you occupied. These windows are nice and big, so you've got a good amount of visibility out of these. So all up, back seat okay, but I'd really love an armrest. So to recap, this is a plug-in hybrid. And unlike some other plug-in hybrids from other car makers like Honda, for example, this car can't charge the battery on the go. Honda's hybrid system has a generator in the engine bay that's powered by the petrol motor that charges the battery while you're driving. The Peugeot 408 doesn't have that, so once it runs out of electric power, that's it until you can plug in again. And you only get about 60 kilometers or so of electric power. Now, I don't have a charger at home to easily plug in, so unfortunately the battery power in this car is long gone. So for now it just runs as a regular hybrid, switching to electric power whenever I'm driving at low speed. Or in this instance, cruising along the highway, not really using the engine much at all. And also right now the car is in B mode, which means that there is a bit of additional engine braking, and the car collects some of that power and puts it back into the battery. It's not very much, certainly not enough to run exclusively on electric power for very long. In terms of refinement though, it's very quiet. So quiet, in fact, you'll struggle to actually tell when the car is switching between electric and petrol power. I know I say that about a lot of hybrids, but it is actually quite true in this car. It is very difficult to tell which power source you're running on, and the only easy way to tell is actually to look on the dashboard. Now, even though I've run out of electric power and I'm just running as a normal hybrid, you still get a readout here on the dashboard to tell you how much of the time you're spending on zero emissions. And right now, it's still a pretty good 56%, which is not bad. I do really like the seat massage though. Why can't every car have seat massage? This is something that the French just do very well. Then again, it could just be a sign of me getting older. I don't think I would have liked lumbar support when I was younger, but now I love it. The combination of the 1.6 litre turbo engine and the electric motor makes for quite a lively driving experience. It's not ridiculously fast, but it certainly isn't slow. And the small steering wheel just has such a great feel to it. I love doing corners with this wheel. It really feels like sort of almost race car driving. Is the Peugeot 408 a turn-back car, a car so good looking that you have to turn back and look at it after you've parked it? It's certainly distinctive. I mean, you don't see a lot of these on the road. So it is eye-catching in that sense, especially with the two fang-like driving lights at the front. So yeah, I think it qualifies as a turn-back car. But you do definitely get a sense that this car was made with cruising along French motorways in mind. It just has sort of an undefinable European feel to it. The center console screen also comes with built-in games. Now, obviously you can't play these while the car is moving for obvious reasons. And apparently you can download more of them if you set up an account, but there are a few basic ones included, like Hangman, which I'm terrible at. Drive modes, there are 3: Sport, Hybrid and Electric. Hybrid obviously runs as a normal hybrid. Sport will preference the petrol motor, giving you a bit of added performance. And electric, well, if you have electricity available, the car will run on that by itself. But unfortunately, that's not an option for me right now. With plug-in hybrids becoming an increasingly popular option as a stopgap between fully electric and petrol cars, the 408 makes a pretty good case for itself. But with EV prices dropping all the time, it does leave the 408 looking just a little bit expensive. But if you're a French car fan, and I know that there's plenty of you out there, it's well worth the price of admission.